What is your American dream?
As Mexican immigrant, came over when I was 8 years old. My dream was to become a citizen, get married, have a home, have a wonderful career, and I've successfully achieved that dream.
Yes, I agree with all of that, but also to have a stable job and also purchase our first house, which we did, and we now own 2 cars, no more car payments, and we're striving, we're climbing that ladder.
Everyone has a right to the American dream. Welcome, everybody. My name is Brad Bernstein. What? I'm far away today. We come closer. We come a little closer.
Come closer.
No, but this is it. Now I'm closer. The magic of TV, Jonathan Yo-Yo Elias. The magic of TV.
Gotta love it.
Yes. I was going to say it is Wednesday, April 20th, and I was just thinking as I was saying, it's Wednesday, April 20th. We're almost like, that makes us like almost a third of the way through 2022.
Yeah.
Feels like...
Just started. I don't feel like I've written 2022 enough.
There's been no writing in 20. It's just, all of a sudden, we're already a third of the way done.
Man.
Man is right.
And it's so crazy because during the pandemic, 2020 felt like 3 years. Like it was
I know. And now it's just boom, fast.
Just fast.
You know what happens, Jonathan? I've noticed in my life. As you get older, time speeds up.
Yeah.
You know, like when I was like a kid, felt like life
forever.
Life took forever, right?
Yes.
And then in my 20s, it sped up a little bit.
A little bit.
In my 30s, it was a little faster.
Like, pew, pew.
40s, I went through the 40s in like 3 blinks of an eye.
Oh my gosh.
And now I feel like I'm going through the 50s in a blink and a half.
Oh gosh.
That's what I say. Oh gosh.
Yeah. I remember like being young and like hearing adults saying, you know, life is short and, you know, life would go by fast. I'm like, what? I've been in high school for like 20 years.
It does go by very fast. By the way,
that's why we got to enjoy life.
Yeah, by the way, do you really believe I say, oh golly gosh in my head?
No.
I say something else. But this is, I'd say, oh shenanigans.
Shucks. Sometimes I actually do say shucks.
I never say shucks. I say
the real one.
No,
sugar, honey,
I say, oh, poop.
Yeah.
But with an S in the beginning of it. All right, let's say hello to the squad. Joan Ambitious Powell, squad up. Carl Sand, squad up. How are you? Elizabeth Francis, squad up. Acelia Stone. Is that Alcia Stone? That's Alcia Enots. Did she change her name?
Maybe.
Squad up, Brad and team. Cleve Rich Kid C. How are you? Used to be just Rich Kid C. Now he's Cleve Rich Kid C.
Yeah.
Yes. Jessica Levy Joel Davis. Used to be Jessica Levy Joel. Now it's Davis.
You know why.
Kavar Harris. Always been Kavar Harris. Elizabeth Francis, squad up. How are you? Latoya, his forever Pitterson. She's always going to be his. Never will that name change.
Right.
Right. Can you imagine? It's like Latoya,
forever.
just for this month, Peterson. You know? Daryl Winnebaugh, squad up. How are you? By the way, we don't have a winner today. Joan Ambitious Powell was number 1. And obviously, it's not a competition. We never say it's a competition. But if you happen to be the first, I don't like to put anyone in a competition. Yeah. But if you happen to be the first commenter both on Facebook and YouTube at the same time, you will get a Brad Show Live cup mailed to you at your address from Jonathan Yo-Yo Elias.
Do I get to sign it?
You will. It will be if you want. If they want your signature.
Ask whoever you want from the crew to sign it.
Yes.
We will sign it.
Right.
That's pretty.
It
awesome.
could be valuable. It won't be. It's not valuable at the moment.
Who says who?
Well, it's not valuable as a keepsake, but maybe not be valuable monetarily. But maybe in the future, it could be.
You never know.
You never know.
Yes.
Asila Stone, almost. She was like 2 or 3. Almost, Asila. You almost won a cup. Shanika Gale, Squad Up. That's on YouTube. Jamie Barra, Equal Up. Equal Up? Is that a new one? I don't know. Jessica Kalimi, how are you? Susie Q, Squad Up crew. Kavar Harris also double fisting. Michelle Everblessed, Squad Up, Super Lawyer and the crew. God's Warrior is watching. Danny Boy, how are you? The Dream has a question. A lawyer told me I have to move out before I can file for VAWA. Is this true? I have nowhere to go. No, I mean, you don't want to you don't want to stay in an abused relationship, and you don't want to be in the home if there's abuse, but you don't have to move out of the house to file a VAWA. There's no requirement you move out of the home to file a VAWA. I would just kind of think you would want to move out at some point because you don't want to get hurt and injured. And, if you can't move out and there is abuse going on, you could always get an order of protection against your spouse, and he would get kicked out of the home and you would live there. So that's an option as well. Lee. Oh, by the way, this is Elon Musk's day. April 20th, 420.
Why is that his day?
The marijuana. Isn't this the marijuana day?
Elon Musk?
Yeah, he's a big 420 guy.
Oh, I would say Snoop Dogg before
Elon Musk, we even talked about it yesterday. He's buying Twitter for $54.20 because he made 420.
For 420.
Yeah, he made his
I give it
offer.
to Snoop Dogg instead.
You give Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
Anybody else you'd give it to?
Bob Marley.
Bob Marley also?
Yeah, those are the only two that.
Right. Is there any squatties who are celebrating 420? I'm sure.
I did see a couple of happy 420s.
Yeah, really?
Definitely Lee E said happy 420 squad with a fire symbol. Know what that's about?
I wonder what he's lighting up there with that fire, right?
Right.
I do have to remind everybody that on the federal level it is still not legal.
Yes.
All right, take it away, Jonathan.
Absolutely. All right, squad. You already know what time it is. I already see some of you guys throwing in your questions in the comment section. Do that right now. Everybody, throw in your comments and your questions in the comment section because we're going to answer all of them during social media check-in. And also, please share this to everybody. That is the only way we can get the word out. All right, because we're about to start schmoozing with Brad. He's going to fill us in on the latest headlines, including one of the Biden administration's newest directives to immigration and customs enforcement that could potentially clear out about 40% of the immigration court backlog. And of course, today is Wednesday, squad, so we've made it to the middle of the week, and we're going to celebrate with some down and dirty hump day style stories.
Some down and dirty ones.
Down and dirty.
I mean, I don't know what they're giving us today.
I mean, we know what it's.
But we know it's down and dirty. We know it's down and dirty.
Yes, the camels will be coming out.
Yeah.
So some of the stories will be including Fox News host Tucker Carlson's latest push to combat low testosterone levels that has even the conservative musician Kid Rock looking at him funny. I wonder what it is.
And by the way, I was just thinking about 420. Mm-hmm. All right, you know how much I smoke. I just realized in the comments it's 420. So I went all day long and didn't even realize.
Didn't know?
I didn't even realize.
Oh man,
that shows how much I'm smoking, right?
Right,
Which
right.
is I didn't even realize. I'm like, oh, it's 420. That's
right.
Oh yeah, I know what that is.
This is a national holiday for some people.
For some people, I didn't even realize until the Bragg Show Live started. Yeah, the squad told me about it.
Yeah.
And of course, you can call the number scrolling on the bottom of our screen, 1-800-529-5465. That's 1-800-LAW-LINK, 1-800-529-5465. That's the number to call to get on our show. And surprise, we have almost every line locked and loaded already.
Oh, wow.
So if you don't call in probably the next 3 minutes, probably not going to get on our show.
Uh-oh, better call.
But if you have a call, I'd call now, 1-800. Nope. Too late.
Dang.
The boom.
Just like
Too late.
that.
Just like that. Too late. And later in the show, we're going to hear the second part of my conversation with Tara Roberts, the host and executive producer of the National Geographic Podcast, Into the Depths. She is a cool chick.
Yes, I can't wait for
really
this.
enjoyed my conversation with her.
Yes.
And she documents black divers and marine archaeologists searching for slave trade shipwrecks in order to preserve the history of the African diaspora. One of the funniest things is when I was interviewing her, we'll get to Schmooze in a second. When I was interviewing her, I'm thinking she's like diving. I'm thinking these ships are like hundreds of feet. You know,
how far are
and
they?
I'm saying to her, are you really? How deep are you diving to get to these ships? You know, I'm thinking in the middle of the ocean.
Right.
You know, it could be like
Right.
hundreds of. You know, what do I know? I don't know, a
Right.
scuba diver. What do I know?
Right.
So I'm thinking she's going down hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of feet. She says, no, they're mostly 20, 30 feet under. They're not that far.
They're not even that far.
No, they're not. It's 20, 30. A lot of the slave ships,
Wow.
they sunk, and a lot of the people died because they were just shackled.
Yeah.
You know, they weren't letting them out to, you know,
That's
but
crazy.
it was mostly in shallow water. A lot of it.
Wow.
Yeah. All right, you ready to schmooze?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So I said this like 6 months ago, Jonathan. I said if Biden's gonna give in and get rid of Title 42, it's gonna end up being used as a political issue for the Republicans. I said 6 months ago it's gonna be the thing that gets the Democrats kicked out of Congress.
Right.
And here we are heading into the summer. The midterm elections are coming up in November. Elections are less than 6 months away. Biden's getting rid of Title 42. From a policy standpoint, he's right to do it.
Right.
From a policy standpoint, he's right to do it in the sense that, you know, immigrants are not bringing in COVID. People applying for asylum across the border are not bringing COVID because they are applying for asylum. They're getting a credible fear interview. They can be vaccinated. They can be tested.
Right.
And quite frankly, people are coming in from all over the world. So from a public health standpoint, I don't think it really bears a big deal. From a political standpoint, because these people are not white people trying to cross the border. They are mostly darker skinned or black or Hispanic, Latin American crossing the border. And now the Republicans are making it into a wedge issue. We talked about it yesterday. Immigration, from a policy standpoint, is what should be the what immigrants should be allowed in to give the United States the best economic impact. And we as a country, in a history of helping people, who do we want to let in on a humanitarian basis? That's what immigration is. It should be just a policy decision. Instead, it's become a wedge cultural issue. And now that Biden is cutting back or taking back Title 42, there's a lot of flack from both sides. When asked by CNN, the head of the Department of Homeland Security, Alexander Mayorkas, said, I say, number one, that we have plans. We have to be very mindful of the fact that we are addressing enemies, and those enemies are the cartels and the smugglers, and I will not provide our plans to them. We are going to proceed with our execution carefully, methodically, in anticipating different scenarios. Now, CBP has already apprehended more than 1 million people this year trying to run across the border. And that began in October. So in 6 months, over 1 million apprehensions of people trying to cross the border. What Title 42 does is allows people to go to the border crossing and say, hi, I don't want to run across a border. I would like to apply for asylum. And then they get a credible fear interview, and then it's determined whether or not to let them in for their asylum interview. Now, even Democrats don't want Title 42. Democrats who are up for election, they don't want Title 42 to be overturned by Biden. Two border state Democratic senators, Arizona Senators Kristen Sinema and Mark Kelly, they sent a letter to the president last month arguing that Title 42 needed to remain in place. They're both in competitive races. Georgia Senator Raphael Warnock, he was the former pastor of Martin Luther King Jr.'s Ebenezer Church. He's now a senator in Georgia. And he is in a competitive race in Georgia. So he's reading the tea leaves. He says it's the wrong time. Don't do it.
You agree?
From a policy standpoint, it should be done. It's the right thing to do. It's the humanitarian thing to do. There's no reason to have people live in Tent City. From a political standpoint, the Republicans are going to twist it. They're going to make immigration a wedge issue. They make it now cultural. Immigration is a cultural issue. It's their number one political issue that they can rely on. When the governor of Texas is running on immigration and governors have nothing to do with immigration, that's how volatile a wedge issue it has become for Republicans and independents. That says it all. Meanwhile, the Biden administration says there's now more than 1.7 million people in removal proceedings in the United States right now. Almost 2 million people. 700,000 of those people have no criminal record and pose no security threat, according to the Biden administration. It's about 40% of the backlog in the courts, and they are looking to administratively close those cases. They've come out with a policy to do that. So if you're in removal and you do not have any criminal record, you do not pose a security risk, you should be requesting your attorney to see if they would close out the case unless you feel very confident that you're ultimately going to be able to get immigration benefits while being in removal. Closing out your case doesn't mean you get a green card. Closing out your case doesn't mean you get to live here legally. It just means they're stopping the deportation. You're back to where you were before they put you in removal, just as an undocumented person. But it's better than being in removal and being ordered deported, and certainly better than being in removal, getting ordered removed or deported, and living in the United States with a warrant out for your arrest waiting for somebody to come get you. Yeah, up to 700,000 cases. I did say that. Now, cases that involve public safety or national security threat, and those people who entered the country without inspection, without a visa, they will not be getting their cases closed. Now, today, Ukrainian President Zelensky, there's a war going on, Jonathan.
Yes.
We didn't talk about it yesterday.
Okay.
Russia has regrouped, and they're now looking to take over the eastern portion of Ukraine. They have brought in 17 battalions, additional soldiers. The Ukrainians are outnumbered. The Ukrainians are out. They don't have the same lethal weapons that the Russians have. The Russians ran into problems trying to take over Kiev for two reasons. One, lack of morale on the Russian army part. A lot of Russian military members are saying, why are we here? What are we doing?
Yeah.
It's like they're Vietnam, in a way. And number two, they didn't have any command and control. So for whatever reason, there was nobody in charge of each battalion, and Battalion A and Battalion B coordinating with each other. Everybody was doing their own thing.
Wow.
So they didn't have any good command and control. So if you notice, there were a lot of Russian generals had to go rush to the front lines to organize the troops, and a lot of Russian generals died in the battle for Kiev. I think they lost 7 generals, Russian generals, plus their largest boat in their entire fleet. When do you ever hear a boat sinking?
That's deep.
Yeah. Meanwhile, but Zelensky says that the Russians are regrouping. They think that they've solved their issues, the Russians, and Zelensky is pleading to the world that they don't have enough serious and heavy weapons they're going to be outgunned and outnumbered. There's 17 battalion groups in the Ukraine. That's 4 more than in the last 24 hours. Today, U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, other European and Western officials and finance ministers walked out of a closed-door G20 economic session because the Russian delegate began his prepared speech. The United States has unveiled a new round of sanctions against Russia, including this time targeting a key commercial bank, global network of more than 40 individuals. In addition, the State Department is imposing a number of visa restrictions, going after 635 nationals. It is going to be a very, very bloody war in the next few weeks.
Oh my gosh.
And these next few weeks will determine what is going to happen in the Ukraine. The reports are that Putin is putting everything that Russia has into defeating Ukraine in the east because he wants a victory for May. When is Victory Day in Russia? It's either May 7th or May 9th. He wants victory. You ever see those videos where like they're parading all the military equipment in Red Square? Mm-hmm. It's always on May 9th. That's Victory Day in Russia. So he wants a victory by May 9th. So it is going to be a very bloody war. My guess is he's not going to have a victory by May 9th. That is my guess.
Even just that little part, the eastern part of Ukraine?
I don't think so. I'm not a military analyst, but right. I would think that the Ukrainians, they fought very hard. I'm not sure.
But he's putting it all in now.
Yeah, but I'm not sure what they're going to do different, this time around than last time. They got their butts kicked last time by the Ukrainians.
Yeah.
Everybody thought the Ukrainian, that Putin was going to parade in Kiev 3 weeks ago.
Including Putin.
Yeah. Yeah. Meanwhile, did you see in Grand Rapids, Michigan, what happened? Black man Patrick Lyoya, if I'm pronouncing his name right, last month, he was shot and killed by a white police officer. They just released the body cam photos and videos, and it shows that a police officer putting a gun to the back of the man's head and shooting him. An expert who performed an independent autopsy on Patrick Lyoya for the black man's family said yesterday that the Michigan police officer who killed Patrick Lyoya pressed the gun directly against his head when firing the fatal shot. His lawyer says the man was originally from the Congo. He was a refugee living in the United States since 2014. He was 26 years old. The white police officer says he was pulled over because the plates that were not matching the make of the car. His lawyer says that is code for driving while black.
Right.
So the man gets pulled over, and apparently this is no excuse for shooting him. Nobody's saying this is an excuse for shooting the man, but apparently he was giving up some sort of struggle to be arrested. And in the struggle, the white police officer pulled out a gun and shot him. Now, the man's lawyer says, yes, there was a struggle, but you never see a fist. You never see a knife. There's no baseball bat. There's no gun. There's no nothing. There was nothing that was going to make the cop fear for his life. And as a result, this is not a deadly force scenario. The cop never gave him a warning, never said, halt, or I'm going to shoot you. Nothing like that.
Just did it.
Just did it.
My thing is, what happened to tasers?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a cop in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Damn. That's a question for the chief of police. Why don't they have tasers? Why isn't there backup? I don't know how many cops were there.
It's scary just because your plates don't match or supposedly doesn't, like, you have to fear for your life.
Yeah. Listen, you got to be smart, and think, you know what? You're not going to beat the cop up. You're not going to outrun the cop, or it's unlikely. And I'm not saying that if you do everything the cop says, you'll be safe, because that's not true. We've learned that.
We've seen that.
Okay, but given the choice of resisting arrest and not, I would say not resisting arrest gives you a better opportunity of living.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's sad. I don't know what's going to happen there. They have not released the cop's name yet. So we don't know what criminal charges are going to be brought against the cop. We do know that there is a civil lawsuit that's going to start for monetary damages. But in terms of a criminal case, we don't know yet. The funeral is planned for this Friday at Renaissance Church of God in Christ in Grand Rapids. And the Reverend Al Sharpton said the National Action Network is going to cover the cost of the funeral, and that Reverend Sharpton will be giving the eulogy.
Oh, wow.
And there is, according to the United States, Johns Hopkins University, 989,900 deaths reported due to coronavirus in the United States of America. I don't know how many coronavirus cases there are because there's too many home tests, but still I would assume that the 989,900 deaths is pretty close to accurate, I would assume. On Thursday, the United States Food and Drug Administration granted emergency use authorization to a new COVID test that you can just blow into the machine.
I saw that.
Yes. It's called the COVID-19 breathalyzer. It's the size of a carry-on luggage, so you don't have to stick the thing up your nose anymore. But I guess they would have to clean it off after each person.
No, you just do it through the
I
straw,
guess you do it. I guess they give a new straw every time.
Yeah.
Right. You're not going to be blowing on somebody else's COVID.
No.
COVID straw.
Yeah.
I just saw what it looked like for the first time. It says
cool,
the
though.
study that it identified accurately 91% of positive samples and accurately found 100% of negative samples. How do you get 100% negative samples but only 91% positive? Because if the 9% was positive would be negative, then it can't be 100% negative. Because there were some false negatives then.
It was 100% negatives because it gave all the negatives that were negatives, it was right. But all the positives that it gave weren't always positive.
Aha! Thank you for your statistical analysis. Yes. That's why I'm a lawyer, Jonathan. I was understanding those statistics for a second. Thank you very much. That's why I got you as the co-host. And by the way, we talked about 2 weeks ago that the Senate passed a $10 billion COVID relief bill.
Yes.
Well, now to the snag. It hasn't actually passed yet.
Oh.
And the reason it hasn't passed, we're going back to the beginning of the Schmooze, Title 42.
Oh, man.
The Republicans in the Senate say they will not pass any COVID relief unless part of the COVID relief is instituting by law Title 42 to prevent immigrants on the southern border from coming into the United States and spreading COVID. Again, making this entire Title 42 a cultural wedge issue for political purposes instead of what it is. Immigration, when we break it down to its bare, why do we have immigration? For economic prosperity of the United States. And we have it because we as a country have always and decided will continue to accept people who are running and fleeing from humanitarian and other situations and crises. And there is no question that immigration is a positive for the economic development of the United States of America. No question about it. All right. You ready for this?
Let them out.
All right. I don't know what I'm going to get here, Jonathan. What did we say it was? We have some camels. The camels said it's going to be down and dirty hump day stories.
Down and dirty.
Oh, boy.
Hump day.
That's what we know for sure.
It's
We don't know what we're going to talk about, but we know it's going to be down and dirty.
By the way, Rihanna, I don't know if it's just the same Rihanna as Fenty Rihanna, but on YouTube says it is 8 dead. I don't know if this is correct, but Rihanna on YouTube says 8 dead Russian generals killed in Ukraine so far. Because they're all up on the front lines because nobody's being able to control
They
anybody.
literally just sent them out there. It was like, oh, yeah, do what
so
you
how
gotta
did they
do.
fix it? You see, that's what I'm saying is like everyone's like, oh my God, now Russia's going to run over and Putin's. How did they fix all of their problems in 2 weeks?
Right.
How do you do that as think about a corporation with hundreds of thousands of employees. Mm-hmm. Corporation doesn't fix all their problems in 2 weeks.
Right.
So I don't know why all of a sudden that Russia thinks now they'll just run rampant, but we'll see. We will see. All right, let's down and dirty.
All right.
Fox News host Tucker Carlson, one of the worst people in the world.
Yuck.
He has a new Tucker Carlson original documentary out called The End of Man. And it begins, we have a trailer. Let's watch the trailer. Maybe we don't have it.
It's no sound.
Okay, we have no trailer. Okay, it begins with a familiar Make America Great Again style montage centered on a John F. Kennedy speech in which he extols the virtues of strength and exercise, berates America's soft, chubby, fat-looking kids. Quickly, Kennedy's reasonable for the time approach to child obesity is equated with a precipitous decline in sperm counts. And then we see a montage of a huge, buff, topless man cutting wood, milking cows, firing guns, firing my guns, barbecuing and guns.
Oh my gosh.
Fighting, drinking egg yolks. and now he's further saying that the way to get back to this is how you get to be this type of guy now.
And how is that?
Okay, testicle tanning.
What?
Yes. I never heard of this.
No.
All right. You basically tan your testicles. It's called red light therapy, and it's shown in the video. And further, in an interview Carlson does with a self-proclaimed aromatherapy expert, he claims that by dousing your balls with red lights, you can create higher levels of testosterone. We have this. Let's watch this. I want to see what this guy says.
You saw in the clip there, if you want to optimize and take it to another level, expose yourself to red light therapy.
Yes.
And the Juve that we were using in the documentary, there's a massive amount
Which
of
is testicle tanning.
It's testicle tanning, but it's also full body red light therapy, which has massive amount of benefits. And there's so much data out there that isn't being picked up on or covered.
What?
Are you going to testicle tan?
No.
You don't need more testosterone?
To me, it sounds like you get cancer from doing that. Now, apparently, there's people out there who say that this works, but the fact is there is no scientific evidence that has actually been peer-reviewed in real scientific, experiments that this stuff works.
I'm good, y'all.
Yeah, and by the way, your testosterone levels, it changes all during the day depending on your moods, your exercise, your emotional state. But it's no surprise to see Fox News suggest, Jonathan.
Jessica Leamy said, man, if your swimmers are not working, just say so.
Yeah. Now, that the channel is heavily invested in the idea that a decrease in testosterone is making men more liberal.
Oh, God.
Yes. Right. Low T means you're liberal.
Thanks, Fox News.
Yeah. Now, even over the weekend, Republican rocker Kid Rock appeared on Carlson's show, and he was completely confused what Carlson was saying. And this guy is totally pro-Republican. Right. I don't know if we have that or not. We do? Let's see.
Why wouldn't open-minded people seek new solutions?
I don't know what the hell's going on in this room. I'm not even sure if I understood that question, but some days I just want to stop this planet and let me off.
Even Kid Rock, who's very pro-Republican, is like, what the heck are you talking about?
Perfect response.
But this guy, Tucker Carlson, he's the #1 watched show on all of Fox News.
I want to see how many people are going to actually go and do this now.
People are going to go out and tan their balls now, Jonathan.
It's probably going to be the same people that drank bleach or wanted to drink bleach.
Now, this is also something I'm not going to do, by the way, Jonathan. Mm-hmm. Men's lingerie. It's taken off again.
Listen.
Have you heard of this?
I have. I mean, Savage Fenty,
Yeah, Savage Fenty. Yeah, they released a men's collection. Christine Pendavis, the brand's chief merchant, said it sold out in 12 hours, the entire thing. We were blown away. Oh, I'm not wearing that, Jonathan. Jonathan, I am not going to wear that.
Why not?
I'm sorry.
Listen, why not?
No. I rock my dad bod a different way, okay? I rock my dad bod a different way.
Like, look, you got to keep it fresh in the bedroom.
The way to rock the dad bod is the oversized white T-shirt and the boxers. That's my sexy lingerie. The oversized.
That's not even lingerie.
That's what I wear. The oversized white T-shirt and the boxers. And there it is.
They got some guys with dad bods over there. There's like a Savage Fenty is very inclusive, so she has all kinds of different body types. I know that there's what's his name? He's there. He is. Stephen Green. He's a big plus size.
He's
muscle.
rocking that dad bod.
Yeah.
Right?
See? So anybody could do it.
Now mainstream brands are getting in on the action too. Casabella, an Italian lingerie brand founded in 1983, began selling lacy men's briefs, semi-sheer thongs, colorful G-strings on its website. The company CEO said it's half the world's population.
Carol Anderson, the Tiger, is saying that will look great on you, Yo-Yo. Absolutely not. I stopped that Cupid run.
I was about to say we already did it on the Cupid run, right?
One and done for me.
Yeah. All right. So that's like a new thing, Yo-Yo.
Yeah. You know.
And by the way, experts are now debunking the theory of the G-spot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're calling it the G-zone.
The G-zone.
Yeah, it's a zone of 5 different areas that actually make up the G-spot. We've been told the wrong thing. We've been misled for 72 years.
72 years.
I don't know why 72 years. We've been misled since Adam and Eve.
Wow.
Right? Adam and Eve, they even knew what the G-spot was, right?
Yeah, so
I think we've been misled for thousands and thousands of years.
Yeah, that's pretty foul.
Yeah. Apparently, a new editorial co-signed by top 3 editors of the Sexual Medicine Review Journal suggests we now refer to the areas. It's 5 different erotic zones, and we should no longer be calling it the G-spot. It's not like a special button. It's the zone. It's 5 different areas.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
Makes you think that you got to put in more work now. It's like it's not just that one button.
Yeah, there's more than one button. I mean, you only have 2 hands, right?
Right. Listen.
And there's like 5 different zones now.
Yeah.
It's a lot of pressure, Yo-Yo.
Do they tell us where these zones are?
I would like to know.
Maybe they need a master class.
I need like a map.
Yeah, right.
Can you just give me like a map where the zones are?
Yeah.
It says the G-spot was coined in honor of the 20th mid-century German gynecologist Ernst Grafenberg, who was the first to describe the orgasmically volatile region. But now the new editorial states we believe that the subsequent use of the term G-spot coined 31 years ago is inaccurate. It's now the G-zone. But they don't tell you where it is. They give you no maps, no user guide.
Like, how is this supposed to help us?
Now it's just more pressure.
Yeah, it's more pressure.
More pressure. What? 5 spots now.
Good gracious.
I had it.
Right.
Yeah, you're like, all right, I got 1 spot, I'll find it. But now 5?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Now you're in bed with somebody, you're like, well, you only got 3 out of 5.
I'm just gonna stick to the G-spot. That's all. I'm not gonna think about all that extra stuff.
Oh my God. All right. By the way, Tinder, they've come out with a new thing, which is kind of cool. They're gonna give everybody 2 background checks per month.
Oh.
For anybody who's going out on a date. And they will do background checks on your date, let you know if they have a criminal record, any violent past.
Wow. That's
and
nice.
then if you want more than 2 free background checks per month, they're going to charge you $2.50 for each additional background check.
You're going to get charged for safety?
Well, I mean, how many dates you going on Tinder a month?
Some people go on a lot, and some people would just take that one. There's a lot of people that get killed off these dating apps.
Yeah, but if you go on like Google and stuff and you want to do someone's background check, there's like websites that charge like $49, $59, $79.
True.
So for $2.50, I don't think Tinder's making that much money on it.
That's true. But that's good that these apps are showing some kind of thing. I was actually on a podcast this past week with a celebrity matchmaker, and she was talking about a new feature on, I think it's Tinder, where if you want to send your date, like a young lady, an Uber, you could do it through Tinder. Like you can give them credit, so you don't know their address for safety. So like I like that. You know, these apps are starting to.
That's nice, because I sometimes send Ubers for my dates.
Right, but then that's not really safe.
Of course, but I'm a safe person. But who knows?
Not for everybody. You know, so.
I think that's nice. Actually,
I think so as well.
By the way, I see here on Facebook that Carol the Tiger says it's still the G spot. Nobody's calling it the G zone. These are women. They know what they're talking about.
Thank you.
All right?
Thank you.
And Dawn Harriet, she's saying what I'm saying. How does a male expert know this? They're all the women that say G spot, not G zone.
And I told you that's exactly what I'm going to go by.
Whew, thank God. I was getting nervous. I'm like, I gotta learn this all over again now.
We're good here, Brad. We're good.
And finally, Jonathan, through a Freedom of Information Act request, the Pentagon has finally released their UFO papers.
Really?
All of the sightings, all of the close encounters of the third kind, when the person has actually met the alien. And according to the Pentagon, in these FOIA requests, this is from the U.S. government, Jonathan.
Okay.
There are 5 known occurrences of alien abduction where the person got pregnant.
What?
Yes. There are 5 reported sexual encounters between ETs and human beings. This is according to the U.S. Pentagon.
Really?
The report goes on to say UFO sightings can leave witnesses injured, suffering radiation burns, brain problems, damaged nerves, but 5 people, ETs got 5 people pregnant.
I don't know.
You believe that?
I don't know, man.
You believe that one?
I don't know. This is wild.
Come on. The reports include bizarre occurrences of apparent abduction of humans. That's the, close encounter of the third kind. Steven Spielberg even made a movie about it. Unaccounted for pregnancies. Can you imagine? It's like that movie Alien, where Sigourney Weaver gives birth to like that monster or something. You ever see that from the 80s?
No.
Scary movie.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you believe that there were 5 alien births? This is according to the Pentagon.
Right, which is why it's so wild, because I want to believe that there's other forms of life out there. But
listen, I was in my elevator in my building like a month ago, and there was a baby in a baby stroller.
Don't say you thought it looked like an alien.
I'm going to tell you something. I think all babies are cute. This was the ugliest baby I ever saw in my life. And I'm saying to myself, that baby looks like an alien. So maybe one of these alien babies are living in my apartment building.
No.
Do you think I'm like, that could be an alien baby? And now I'm reading this. You peek over, you're like, you really want to say the baby's cute, but you can't. So, yes.
Carol Anderson, the Tiger, said it's a lie. It's a myth.
But I think maybe now there's an alien baby living in my apartment building.
God. I hope they don't watch this.
I hope so too. They got to know that baby looks like an alien. All right. In this edition of TikTok Time, I answer questions about a J1 visa, wait times, pending asylum, falling in love, joining the army, and a whole lot more. Let's watch. If you have a pending asylum, you can certainly file for VAWA, and if you get it approved, you can adjust your status through the VAWA case. So the answer is yes. If you're in the United States and fall in love on a student visa, you could always get married and get your green card through adjustment of status, get your work permit, your travel document. By all means, if you fall in love, go for it. A foreigner cannot join the United States Army unless that foreigner has a lawful permanent resident green card or ultimately becomes a U.S. citizen. but then they're not a foreigner anymore, they're a U.S. citizen. Whether your parents are married or divorced, you file an I-130 visa petition for each of them. If they're in another country, if they're in the United States, they would file each individual adjustment of status applications with an I-130 that you file concurrently with it. If your husband was deported twice, that means after he got deported, he tried to re-enter the United States, or actually did re-enter the United States illegally and got himself deported a second time. Doesn't bode well for ever trying to come back legally. He has at minimum a 20-year bar, and most likely, depending on what the underlying reason for the deportation, permanent bar. All right, Jonathan, it's that time for dinner. Meat and potatoes, let's do it. All right, Malona, you're on from Salt Lake City. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, what's going on?
How are you?
Hey.
I have a expungement letter I received from the PCI. I don't have a green card yet, so my question is, can I expungement my criminal record, or can I vacate it?
You have PTI.
Before I file for my green card.
You have PTI?
Yeah, the PCI sent me the expungement.
PCI or PTI? Those are two different things.
The period, the expungement eligibility.
Okay, so you don't have pretrial intervention. You're asked, where is this conviction?
It was my marijuana charge. It happened like 12 years old, and a DUI.
Where?
I was convicted.
Where?
West Valley, in Utah.
In Utah.
Lake.
You
Yes.
would need to contact a local. How much marijuana did you have?
1.0 gram green leaf.
Okay, so there's a waiver for that because it's less than 30 grams, and you have a DUI.
Yes.
Okay. When are you applying for your green card?
When I find a good lawyer in Utah.
Okay.
And that's why I was calling you first.
Sure. And you got married to a U.S. citizen?
Yes, sir. I have 2 kids.
Okay, so I would file the adjustment and a waiver if the conviction happened less than 15 years ago. The waiver is based on extreme and unusual hardship to your spouse and children. If the conviction happened more than 15 years ago, then it's just a balancing act. All the reasons to give you a green card, all the reasons to deny you. 1 gram of marijuana is not a good enough reason to deny you when you have a long time in the United States with wife and kids. So my advice would be file the adjustment, do the waiver based on extreme and unusual hardship. If it gets denied for whatever reason, by the time you go redo it again, it's more than 15 years from the time of the conviction, and that waiver would get approved.
All right, so
I can handle your case in Utah if that's your question. That's not a problem.
So don't expungement, right?
You don't need expungement. You don't need to vacate. Just do it. Hold on 1 second. Ignatius in Brooklyn.
Yeah, good evening, Brad.
Hi, how are you
today? Yeah, fine. So I want to ask, can one be deported if you have an ongoing VAWA case with the prima facie and have a final order of deportation? I don't have a criminal record.
You can be ordered deported until your VAWA case is approved. Once your VAWA case is approved, they won't deport you. On a reality level, nobody's coming to look for you with a VAWA case pending. So unless you become, we just talked about this in the beginning of the show in our Schmooze. So unless you become a security threat to the United States, or you convicted of a crime, they're going to leave you alone anyway. So I wouldn't worry about it. Once you get your VAWA case approved, then you can try to reopen your case.
Okay, but can I get my old NTAs ordered? Can I get them? Can I apply to get them because I was deported in absentia?
If you were deported in absentia,
yeah.
The way it would work, if I'm your lawyer, this is what I would do. I would request your immigration records, and we have to look as lawyers. Were you aware? Were you given proper notice of when and where to show up?
No, I don't think
because
so.
if you were not given proper notice when and where to show up, then that's an unlawful deportation order, because it's not a very fair hearing to say you're ordered deported and not tell you when and where to show up to defend yourself. It's called due process. Due process is a fancy word that you hear thrown around all the time by lawyers. It just means you're entitled to fairness. It's not fair if they don't tell you when and where to show up. So if that's the case, and we can prove that, by getting your immigration records, because we can see where they sent you notice, and if we can show that you weren't there where they sent you notice, then you're entitled to get your case reopened. And if that was your situation, I would not even wait for the VAWA case to get approved. I would do it now. And the government would either just terminate your proceedings or give you prosecutorial discretion to just basically close out your removal order, and then you just complete your VAWA case and deal with it after your VAWA case is approved.
Okay, so I can't file an I-485 now? I have to wait?
Let's get your records first and let's cross the T's and dot the I's. But it sounds, you sound in a better position than when you first called. Hold on.
Okay.
Let's go to Shelly Ann in Patterson.
Hi, Brad. How are you?
Good. How are you?
First time watching your show. I was just strolling in YouTube and I saw you, so I said, let me call because I have a situation.
Wow. First time, and you just jump right in there and call. You don't even watch a few days. You're like, let me watch, see what goes on. Nope, I'm going right in.
Well, I'm going to definitely start watching.
All right. What's going on, Shelly Ann?
All right. So I'm married to a U.S. citizen and I got my 2 years green card. So at the time when I was filing for my green card, I sponsor my kids. So he sponsored the kids in Jamaica, 4 kids.
Right.
So then we separate, but we're not divorced because he's currently in jail for domestic violence because he beat me with the gun and put me in hospital and other stuff.
All right, so you don't want him dealing with this. How old are your kids?
The oldest is 20, but the kids, they got their interview date. So they got the interview date in February, the 9th of February, and I went to Jamaica and I took them to the embassy, and the embassy took their passport and told me that the affidavits of support that we submit at the time is not enough to cover the 4 kids.
So get a second affidavit of support from somebody else.
And I should get a second affidavit of support. So when I came up, I got a different affidavit of support. My friend and her husband did it, and then they put the income together, and we send it to them. So now when I go online and check, it show refuse, and like it's an administration process. So
all right, so that means, so you need to contact us so we can contact the embassy before you get your whole entire case denied and your kids get stuck in Jamaica for years.
Okay, so
you hold on 1 second. Hold on.
Where are you?
Hold on. I'm in New York. Hold on. Suzette in Bronx.
Hello?
Hi, Suzette.
Yes, I have 2 questions to ask. First question is, how long when you file for your citizenship, how long it take for you to do the actual swearing?
From the time you pass your interview?
Yeah. How much months it take for them to call you to?
Oh, for your interview?
Right.
I mean, I've heard it's quick. We just heard yesterday one of the squatties said it was 7 weeks or 8 weeks. It's very fast these days, or 9 weeks, whatever it was. In my practice, I'm telling people 6 to 9 months right now.
And then the next question is that how long after swearing a daughter could file for her mother?
The same day.
But she cannot file without becoming a citizen,
without that naturalization certificate. So she needs not only to pass the interview, but swear it. But on that same day, she can do it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Let's go to Samantha. Sounds like she's waiting on her daughter's citizenship. Samantha, how are you?
Hi, Brad.
How you doing?
I'm good. So I have a question for a friend. She's been married for 6 months. Her husband is a U.S. citizen. She's currently out of status. However, you want to go ahead and petition for her, but you haven't been working.
So get an affidavit support from somebody else. That's perfectly fine.
So
he would sign an affidavit of support says he doesn't earn an income, and then you get a second affidavit of support from somebody who is.
and it should be good.
Not should be, will be.
All right. Thank you so much, Brad.
Let's go to Mike in the Bronx.
Hey, good evening, Brad. How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Not too bad. I got a question. If you're in the U.S. and you're undocumented, is traveling to Puerto Rico possible without a problem?
Yes, it shouldn't be a problem. You're still traveling within the United States. There's always, Puerto Rico has a little bit of a higher level of undercover ICE agents walking around Puerto Rico. But the reality is right now, as it stands, flying from anywhere in the United States to Puerto Rico, it's a domestic flight. You're not going through immigration. You don't have to show immigration documents when you get on the plane. You don't have to show immigration documents when you get off the plane. You just walk off the plane like you're walking in an airport in any other domestic airport in the United States of America. There is undercover ICE agents walking around, so there's maybe a small smidgen of a chance, higher level of being questioned for whatever reason. You just get unlucky. But the reality is right now they're not putting anybody in removal. They got too many people in deportation to begin with.
Got you. My next question. But what if something happened and then while you're going through the airport, they pull you over? Could you use that, saying that it's a domestic flight to try to get out of it?
No.
Oh.
You're undocumented, you're undocumented.
Got you. All right, cool.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay.
Cool.
Let's go to Yash in Santa Clara, California. Yash.
Hello, Brad.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. I'm doing great. Thank you. I previously, on January, I asked you 2 questions, and I want to appreciate, and you have helped me on both questions.
Great.
And just to mention them one was I had a T1 injury, and they requested because of coronavirus.
Yash. We don't need it. We don't need to go down memory lane. Just tell me what your question is today.
Yes. Okay. The question today is I have a pending case, and I have a previous marriage here in the U.S. and we didn't file anything. So, but right now I'm married and my wife filed, and we have a baby together.
Great.
So, what is that previous marriage gonna? Since we didn't file anything,
There's nothing to worry about. What happened was you fell in love, you fell out of love, you fell back in love, and your second wife filed for you. I don't see you've done anything wrong.
Oh, okay. That's all for today. Thank you very much, Brad.
All right. Good luck. Let's go to Kathy in Cleveland.
Hello, Brad.
You're Kathy?
Yeah.
Okay. How are you?
Yeah. What's up?
What's up?
Yeah, I have a question, please. Yeah, I have a 10-year green card. So is it possible I filed for my minor daughter? She's 8 years old. She came on a B2 visa, but it's expired.
Yes, you can file for her. She would have to go back to her home country to pick up her green card unless you become a citizen.
She's right here and she's little. She's a minor. Do I need to take her back?
What would happen is this. How long have you had your green card?
About 4 years and a half now.
Okay. And by the way, where's her mother?
The mother is in the U.S.
Okay. With her as well?
Yes.
Okay. So this is what I would do. File an I-130 visa petition for her now. It's 3 months. You're going to file for your citizenship. Citizenship is taking very fast. So if you've had your green card for 4.5 years now, and we're now in April, May, June, sometime in July or August, you're going to be eligible to file for citizenship. You should be a citizen sometime over the summer. You'll upgrade the I-130 and adjust your status here over the winter.
Okay. So when I file for her, will she be able to get like Social Security number?
Once you become a citizen and file her adjustment.
Okay. How much do I need to make?
She doesn't need a Social Security number now. Just put her in school.
Okay. So how much do I need to make to file for her, please?
How many people do you need to support?
Just her.
Nobody else on your tax returns?
No, just me.
Okay. Anything over $25,000 a year.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Let's go to Marie in Queens. Marie. Marie.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
How are you guys? I'm so sorry. I didn't realize it was my turn.
No worries.
I have four stepkids with their paper processing at Department of State for their visa. We didn't start that process yet. I just wanted to know, we were trying to avoid incurring the cost of the DNA. We wanted to know what's the probability of them definitely being DNA tested.
This is your filing for your husband's children.
Yeah, I filed for all five.
Okay. It starts with, is your husband's name on their birth certificates?
Yeah, four of them were late registered in December 2020. Three of them.
Anybody who is late registered is going to get a DNA test.
Okay.
I know it's expensive, but anyone can put their name on a birth certificate after the fact. You could try to prove he's the father other ways through affidavits, through school records, baptismal records, but ultimately, it's probably going to come down to DNA.
Oh, with the late registered ones, right?
Sure.
The last three. Okay. Thank you so much.
All right. Let's go to Jihad in Los Angeles.
Hi, Brett. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, sir. Actually, I got one question. I coming in USA 2016 B2 visa. So, and I apply for my asylum. Still pending. I didn't get any interview. So I work for the one market. This guy have a 2-3 store, and now he offered me to sponsor me for any EV3 or any kind of visa. So you have it. I don't know you qualify or not.
So let me ask you a question. Where are you from originally?
I'm from Bangladesh, but I before live in South Africa, and I get visa from over that side in South Africa.
So you had a visa to enter the U.S., a tourist visa.
Yeah, tourist visa.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you came when? When did you come? Tell me again when you came.
2016.
Okay. And how long after you entered the U.S. did you file for asylum?
4.5 months.
All right, perfect. So there was never a day that you were out of status. You came on a tourist visa. You were here. Generally they give you 6 months. 4.5 months you filed for asylum. So there was never a day that you've been out of status, and you still have not been called for your asylum interview. 100% you should do a job sponsorship because who knows when you'll ever get called for your asylum interview. People who filed in 2014, 15, 16, they may wait another decade before you get an interview, and you may not even pass your interview. If you do a job sponsorship, you've been in legal...
So you think so I get qualified for a sponsor visa, for a sponsor green card here?
The answer is yes. Let me explain why. The answer is yes. Because there's never been a day you've been out of status.
Yeah.
You're not going to get an asylum interview for years. You may not even pass your asylum interview. If you have someone who sponsors you in a job and you can prove you're not taking a job away from an American worker, that sponsorship could be done in 12, 15 months. You could be adjusting your status.
Okay, so this one going to be take how long? It's going to be take how long to I get green card? Including
15
everything?
months you'll be adjusting your status.
15 months?
15 months you will be adjusting. 12, 15 months, 18 months. It's going to be a lot faster than what you're doing. Hold on. Repeating myself 20 times. How long? I just told you how long. He needs a consultation. Rudra in Mumbai, India. All the way from India. How are you, Rudra?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
Good. What's on your mind today?
I got deported in 2020 for unlawful presence, okay? But I filed a vow, and yesterday my vow got approved.
So you said you got deported?
Yeah.
Why did you get deported?
I got charged with the forgery, and that's why I got deported. But
with forgery?
Eventually that, yeah.
What kind of forgery?
Writing, what is that? 1 second.
A bad check?
No, writing false identification.
False identification. When did you get deported?
2020.
Okay. All right.
March.
So congratulations on your VAWA. You're going to process through the National Visa Center. You're going to go for a visa appointment. And at your visa appointment, you'll be turned down because you have a criminal record for forgery and you got ordered deported. But as a VAWA recipient, someone with an approved VAWA, you can file a hardship waiver based on hardship to yourself.
Okay.
And if you can show hardship that you were required to be back in the United States of America, that would overcome the denial, and you'd get a green card. When people say file a waiver is basically you're requesting forgiveness.
Okay.
Right. But you're definitely going to need the help of a lawyer for sure. You're not going to do this on your own.
So do I need to file a waiver now, or are they going to?
You do the waiver after you get denied at the embassy.
Oh, I see.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
All right, but you need help. Hold on 1 second.
Do I need to file a 660? Hello?
Yeah. The answer is you're going to need to file a 212 waiver and a 601 waiver. I need to get your immigration. Someone needs to get your immigration records to get to the bottom line of why you got deported, the nitty gritty of it all. You need the help of a lawyer. You don't need to hire me. I'm not telling you to hire me, but get a good lawyer. Hold on.
All right.
All right. Let's go to Tashika in Dallas.
Hi, Brad. Good evening. I'm good, and you?
Good.
So I'm a J1 student without the 2-year rule, and I'm currently married to a U.S. citizen.
Right.
We got married outside of the U.S. So my question is, how long will it take for me to start the process to adjust my status?
You can do it right now. You can file tomorrow. You should get a work permit in 6 months, and it takes about a year.
Okay, awesome. And also, if and when the visa expires, am I allowed to fly within the states?
You can fly within the states right now as long as you have a valid passport.
Okay, awesome. That's it. Thank you.
All right. Let's go to Jaina in Arlington.
Hey, bro. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. I do have a question. I'm an asylum seeker. My case is still pending. It's been like 8 years. Back in 2015, I was arrested for reckless driving. So I ended up with a misdemeanor. I spent 1 day in jail. I just find out that I have a criminal record. Is this going to affect my case or denial?
No. The only time it would affect is if you're an aggravated felon, which you're not.
Oh, okay. And one more question. If I withdraw my case and if I go back home and apply for a visa like in near future, if I come to U.S.
You'll never get it.
All right. I will never get it?
No, because you filed for asylum. You said you're terrified to go home. You lived here for years and years, and then you went home, and now you say, I'd like to come back on a temporary basis. They're going to say, you're coming, A, we don't believe your asylum claim, and B, we don't believe you're going to come on a temporary basis. Last time you said you were coming on a temporary basis, you applied for asylum and stayed here for years. They're not going to let you do that again.
All right, thank you.
All right. Let's go to Mickey in Houston. Mickey.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I am well. I'm married to a green card holder. I am currently visiting. Is it possible for me to adjust my status?
Yes. When did you come to the United States?
I just came here last week.
Okay. So this is what the law says. If you come to the United States and you file an adjustment within the first 90 days after entering on a visitor's visa, you potentially made a misrepresentation on what your purpose of coming to the United States was for. So you got to wait 90 days. Now, the law also says if you're married to a U.S. citizen, married to a permanent resident, excuse me, and the visas are current, which they are, and they have been for years, so I don't imagine they would not become current in the next 90 days. I assume they'll still remain current. You can adjust your status as long as you are in legal status. So to answer your question succinctly, between days 91 and days 180, you have a 90-day window to file your adjustment.
Oh, okay.
And you cannot, unlike people who are married to U.S. citizens who, if they worked unlawfully, can still adjust their status. If you violate your visa status in any way, up until the day you get your work permit, that's an automatic termination of your adjustment. So you cannot work legally until you get your work permit. You'll be denied otherwise.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you.
All right. I don't know if I helped her or not. She seems a little unsure now. By the way, if you didn't get your immigration questions asked and answered, you can always follow me on Instagram at RealBradBernstein. Just drop me a DM. I'll try to answer your questions as best as I can. You can also follow us at the Real Brad Bernstein. You can also follow us at Bradshaw Live. You don't like 2 hours of us, but you like 30 seconds of us, follow us on @BradshawLive on Instagram. You can also follow us on TikTok, our fastest growing social media platform. Just leave your questions in the comment section, and you may be lucky enough, if I read it and answer it, to get a video answering your question directly to you for the entire world to see.
And you guys can follow me at Jonathan Elias TV on Instagram.
And later in the show, I'm going to be speaking with National Geographic explorer Tara Roberts, who is the host and executive producer of the 6-part podcast Into the Depths, which follows black divers and marine archaeologists as they search for buried slave trade shipwrecks in order to preserve the history of the African diaspora.
And now Alejandra and Temo Juarez tells us the number one thing they would like to see in U.S. immigration reform. So now I want to know in the squad, what would you guys like to see changed as well? We'll see, and let us know in the comments.
What is the number one change you want to see in U.S. immigration reform?
That they stop deporting people. If not going to give them a legal path, at least don't deport moms. Don't deport moms. Don't separate kids. Kids need their mom. They need to be grew up by their mothers. They need to be raised by their mothers.
Filing easier rules to apply to be a permanent resident, and then from there to be a citizen. Especially, like this one, like ban for permanently. You don't even have a criminal record. Obviously, that's, like you say, that doesn't fit the punishment.
All right, social media check-in. Let's do it.
All right, Bina Malka, Facebook VIP member. My husband was approved. Green card sent, SS card sent, neither showed. According to the site, the green card was delivered in September, but we never got it. What would we need to do now? We're currently returned abroad for a few months to close accounts, but traveled to the U.S. on the visa, got the stamp, and paid the fee. Is there anything we could do from abroad now?
No, wait till you come back to the United States. There's nothing you can do from abroad. You have a stamp in your passport, you'll travel back on the stamp. And you'll call the 1-800 number when you get back to the U.S. and say, hey, was it delivered? If it wasn't, or maybe delivered to the wrong address, you'll figure it out when you return.
Liana Brown, a Facebook VIP member. I didn't change my name on my marriage certificate. Can I ask for a change of name when I apply and go for my AOS interview, or can I change it at the courthouse?
You can change it when you go to the AOS.
Marie Maxwell on Facebook. How long after you get married can you start filing your paperwork?
The next day.
Orlando on YouTube. Will my U.S. citizen spouse who's in low-income housing cause a denial in my AOS?
It used to, but not anymore.
Sasha Golding on YouTube. My mom filed for me. I'm in Jamaica and I'm 44 years old now. How long will it take to hear something from them?
I have no idea how long you've been waiting.
Shamika, well, how long usually?
7 years from start to finish.
Shamika, I tried on Facebook. If you're married to a U.S. citizen, do you have to file for your citizenship for 3 years, or can you wait for the 5-year rule?
You can do either one.
Shanika Gale on YouTube. Does the interview waiver apply to VAWA cases, and is getting a second prima facie a good sign in a VAWA case?
It's a good sign, and there are VAWA people who have approved VAWAs who are getting their interviews waived, but not everybody.
Daryl Winnabow on YouTube. What's the wait time for change of status from B2 to F1 if I did my biometrics in October 2021?
Should have been already.
Kibram Gebre Ziaber on YouTube. Can we give biometrics in different locations? Is there a problem with my asylum process?
You go to the biometrics wherever they scheduled you, and there's no problem.
Allison Campbell on YouTube. If I have a chronic disease which causes me to be in pain most of the day, can I expedite my husband's immigrant visa interview so that he can be here to help me?
You certainly can try.
Nova Samaj on YouTube. How long do I have to wait with a 2 years extension letter? I've been waiting for over a year.
Another year.
Susanna Sarpe on YouTube. I got a prima facie from June 2021. Can I apply for adjustment of status and green card, or wait till it's approved?
No, if you have a prima facie, file your adjustment.
Mass on YouTube. How do I find out if my spouse has withdrawn the petition for premeditated residency?
Permanent residency.
Oh, is it permanent residency?
How do you find out? go online and see if your case is pending.
Rudra Newpain on YouTube. Last year I got deported for an unlawful presence, but yesterday my VAWA got approved. Now what's the next process? Is USCIS going to transfer my approval file to NVC?
What happened again? I'm just reading the last question somebody asked. How do I call? There's numbers scrolling at the bottom of the screen. We always get that every day.
Yes.
It makes me laugh. All right. Say it again.
Rudra Newpain on YouTube. Last year I got deported for an unlawful presence. But yesterday my VAWA got approved. Now what's the next process? Is USCIS
I think this is the guy who called. No, this is somebody else.
Is USCIS going to transfer my approval file to NBC?
Yes, they should.
Okay, Anira on YouTube. I just want to ask about my EAD, which will be expiring in 2 weeks. I have a DACA and work as a resident physician in New York. How do I follow up my expedited EAD?
You write a letter.
Sedona Howard on YouTube. I got married recently, but my husband is not yet a U.S. citizen, so I would like to know if I can go ahead and start my paperwork, or what exactly do I need to do?
File an I-130, that's where you would start, and when he becomes a citizen, assuming you made a legal entry, you adjust your status.
Lanre Adesanya on YouTube. I went for my second interview in over a year, and my I-130, or I-30?
I-130.
It's I-130, was approved 6 days, but my I-485 is still pending. I called USCIS. All they told me that is they're still running my background check. What's all this mean?
They're still running your background check. It means that they said you're in a real marriage, but they don't know if you're eligible to get your green card yet because they're running your background check.
All right, and last one, Elizabeth Darby on YouTube. I got an email from USCIS that said the I-485 was approved, and they sent my card in the mail, and I got a tracking number from them. Tuesday, I got an email that said my card was delivered to me, but I never received it. What do I do?
Call the post office.
Okay.
Tara Roberts is the host and executive producer of the National Geographic Podcast, Into the Depths, which documents black divers and marine archaeologists searching for slave trade shipwrecks in order to preserve the history of the African diaspora. The National Geographic Explorer joined me yesterday to discuss the project, and today we're going to hear more about how it changed her life and her perspective on African American identity. Let's watch. Into the Depths is a 6-part podcast series that follows National Geographic Explorer Tara Roberts as she documents black divers and marine archaeologists who are searching for buried shipwrecks from the transatlantic slave trade. Along the way, Tara meets up with the descendants of those brought over on these ships, historians, as well as her friends and family, and comes to new personal revelations about her own family history and what belonging means. The first episode of Into the Depths aired on January 27th, 2022, and is available on Apple Podcasts and wherever people get their podcasts. Tara Roberts, the executive producer and host of the series, is with me to discuss the project. Welcome, Tara. First, let's watch a trailer for Into the Depths.
Black scuba divers are searching for shipwrecks from the transatlantic slave trade.
It was like diving on a grave site.
And honoring the 1.8 million Africans who were lost. I'm National Geographic Explorer Tara Roberts, and I dropped everything to travel with these divers.
Come to Costa Rica!
Join me for Into the Depths, a 6-part Nat Geo podcast series starting in January. It's gonna be an incredible journey.
Now, how many Africans were taken in the transatlantic slave trade?
Yeah, they estimate that it was 12.5 million.
12.5 million people.
Africans, that were brought over, and this is a number I did not know, on 36,000 voyages.
And by the way, that's 12.5 million people forcibly moved to the United States. That doesn't include their children and their grandchildren who were also forced into slavery too. So
and it doesn't include the number of people who were marched to ships and who died on the way, who were held captive.
How many people died in shipwrecks on the way?
They estimate that it was about 12%. So it's like 1.8.
Can you explain the route that they took? You know, the boat would start somewhere in Europe, go to Africa, go to the Americas.
It's called the triangular trade.
Uh-huh.
So the first leg was from Europe to Africa, where they would bring trading goods. And they would trade those goods for captive Africans. They'd load the Africans on the boats.
Who were they trading with?
So local ethnic groups would be at war with each other, and there'd be prisoners of war, and those prisoners would get sold off. We know that the Dahomey Kingdom in Benin captured lots of people. and sold lots of people. And so the boat would then travel to the Americas, so the Caribbean, South America, North America. That route from Africa to the Americas is called the Middle Passage. Then the Africans would be sold into slavery. That wealth that was created from those sales and also from the work that was being done on plantations would also be loaded onto those boats. And that wealth would be transported back to Europe so that you have a triangular trade.
And of those, you were talking about the Middle Passage, and 1.8 million Africans died. How many shipwrecks is that?
Well, they estimate that as many as 1,000 ships wrecked. And to date, less than 20 of those wrecks have been found. So there is an enormous amount of history that's just out there that's lost.
What is the process of finding a ship?
Oh. It's not easy.
I can imagine.
Most slave ships were built primarily out of wood because they were built in the 1600s and 1700s. So when they would wreck, the wood would splinter. And so these boats are in pieces on the ocean floor. And because they're in pieces, those pieces are often encrusted in coral, or marine life has made homes out of it, or it's covered in sand. So it's really, really hard to see. The search for these wrecks doesn't start in the water. It starts in the archives. There are actually lots of records about these ships. And one of the biggest sources of the records is through insurance claims. So when the ships would wreck, the insurance companies would come in to investigate. And they would take notes. So they would look at logs, crew logs. Sometimes there were court testimonies. So like historians or archeologists are going through the archives, trying to understand where the wrecking event happened. They narrow down the area. Then the archaeologists come in with all the big equipment. So it's magnetometers and sonar scans, and they scan the areas where they think that the wreck happened, looking for anomalies. Those anomalies are often metal anomalies. It's like nails or shackles, like the things that they use to restrain people. When they find anomalies, then divers go down to look at those anomalies to see if they are indeed potential artifacts from a shipwreck. And when they find those, then the archaeologists have to do tests to see if it is indeed what they think it is. And then when they confirm that, that's when the part that I learned happens. So now we've identified that there's a wreck site, and now that site has to be mapped. And so then you go down with your buddy and you're down there drawing the artifact, you're measuring spaces to see exactly where it is so they can understand the wrecking event, and they can build a 3D model to actually show what the ship looked like. Well, we're actually drawing. So we're down there with like Mylar paper and a pencil.
Wow. How far do you dive down?
Well, the wrecks are actually not that deep because they often wreck on reefs, and reefs are closer to the shore. I'd say like average, like 30 feet,
okay.
Something like that. So not super far.
Now, you had said that you were worried about going into the history of the transatlantic slave trade. You consulted with your family, your friends, before you even began working with Diving with a Purpose. What was your concern?
I was not looking to tell stories of the slave trade. Like that was not anywhere in my realm of interest. And partly that's because I found looking back at Black history to be hard. And that's primarily because most of the stories that are told about my history tend to center inside of the pain and the trauma. And so when you go back to it, it's traumatizing. It's hard, horrible things that happened.
Right.
There were absolutely moments of sadness, understanding what happened. There's some horrific stories. What I found, so I'll say it in two ways. I found that there was something really cathartic and healing about actually touching, seeing in person the material evidence of the past. A lot of this past is hidden or is ignored, or it's often like, oh, let's not go there. Let's just focus on the future. You start to see people. You don't see faceless statistics, which is how we deal with it. And when it's statistics, like you can't process that. It's just horrific. But when you start to see people, you start to hear these stories, you start to think of names of actual individuals, of 1.8 million people, you know, who were mothers, daughters, scientists, maybe some of them were writers, like real people. Then they're what I experienced was an opportunity to acknowledge them, an opportunity to honor them. And there is pride in that. There's like power in that. So when I am diving down, I'm realizing that I'm raising my hand along with these divers, these historians, these archeologists, and we're saying, we're not going to wait for someone who doesn't look like us to decide that this history is important and then to put it in a book. No, we are going to do what we can to help raise it from the ocean depths and bring it back into memory. And that is actually joyful work. Like that feels like I am doing something that heals the past and it heals the future, because it is not keeping us in this cycle of trauma and pain. It's allowing us to have closure.
And you faced your fears and you overcame them, and look at how you feel today. And that's just with any person's fear that, you know, but what an amazing story. Now, your podcast is full of historical facts. I didn't hear most of them. It's amazing what you talk about and what you've discovered, and things that I didn't know, and certainly I would assume many didn't know. The Maritime Underground Railroad, the hidden network that allowed enslaved persons to seek their freedom along waterways. You heard about Harriet Tubman, but you never heard about the Underground Waterway and Harriet Jacobs, who escaped slavery there. And she wrote a memoir, Incidents in the Life of a Slave Girl, and it was published in 1861. And here it is, published in 1861. We don't learn about it. Why?
It's a bit like I said earlier. Well, when this area of history hasn't been prioritized in that way, hasn't been deemed
important enough.
And what is told of it is told in broad strokes. And I think that is because our approach to this history is through often a lens of shame, guilt, anger. It is not looked at as a complex, nuanced history that we need to explore. And it's often been told through one perspective. There are a lot of entrees into this history, a lot of voices that have never been heard, which is why it was so important that these Black divers are helping to find this history.
What do you think your different perspective in life would have been had this been taught to you in school? You're just now learning about this as an adult.
There's a lot of pain in the past, particularly in Black folks' history. Most of the way that history is approached sees us as sad people, pitiful people, violent, angry people. It's a little bit of a, like I can feel the energy just sort of thinking about it. There's not a way that history is often looked at fully as a history of courage, a history of resilience, a history of power. There's a way that African American history starts in slavery and it ends, like even when you look today, it ends in discrimination and racism. But our lives are so much bigger than this. They didn't start there. There's so much more that came before. Like part of what we discuss in the podcast is even the relationship that Black folks have with the water. Like there is a huge myth that Black people don't swim, that we don't have abilities there. But through this research, I discovered that Black folks were expert divers in the 1400s and 1500s. Like Europeans used to hire West African divers to help them salvage ships. I don't know if you knew this, but the freestyle swim stroke was invented by West Africans.
I did not
because
know
Europeans did not swim in that time period. It was the Middle Ages,
right?
Medical beliefs, religious beliefs kept them out of the water. So they didn't engage with the water. But West Africa is full of hundreds of miles of waterways. So these Africans were making their livings off of the water. They were diving, swimming, making canoes, traveling, trading on the water, and they were expert swimmers. So this is just another sample of the kinds of stories we don't learn about our history. History is complex. The global slave trade took place over 400 years. There were 4 continents involved in the global slave trade. It's Europe, it's Africa, it's South America, it's North America. Do you know there was a way that the world looked before the slave trade and a way that it looked after? It is a monumental event in the shaping of our society today, but we treat it like a footnote. But there's no way that the transportation of 12.5 million people across the Atlantic didn't change coastlines, didn't change landscapes, didn't have a transfer of cultures, religions, beliefs, like happening across all of these ways. It was a monumental moment that has interwoven us. But there's a way that we don't tell any of that story. Wealth was built because of the slave trade. Wealth was lost because of the slave trade. It's huge. And to think that this one little thing that tells us about the ships or that it was horrible in the hold doesn't get at the complexity of the story.
So tomorrow we're going to hear the final part of my conversation with Tara and what she has learned about her own family history through the In the Depths podcast.
Man, that was so interesting. I'm excited for all 3 of these. This is so good.
I did the interview and I sat here and watched the whole thing again.
Yeah, that went by super fast. I could see more. I love it.
All right, ready? 10 questions, 50 seconds. Let's do it.
Okay.
Yesterday we had
short answers.
Short questions, Short question.
That's not up to me.
Short question. He's telling me, who are you calling short, by the way?
Short answers.
I'm offended you're calling me short.
You're not short.
just height challenged.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Does USCIS go by the conviction of crime or the underlying of the original charge?
It's the conviction of the crime, but sometimes they look at the underlying charge to determine how to categorize it.
How long after your fiance's divorce is final can you get married?
Next day.
How long does NVC take to schedule an interview?
Months.
If someone's I-751 is denied and they divorce, what should they do?
File a waiver.
My husband failed part of his citizenship test. Will they write when it's time to retake it?
Yes, you'll get a second chance.
Can an undocumented 17-year-old travel from state to state without an issue?
Yes.
Can you travel to Puerto Rico using your U.S. ID card?
Yes.
How long for I-601 waiver to be approved?
Over a year.
How long does it take fiance to get a green card after marrying a U.S. citizen?
6 months.
Do I have to bring my child to the embassy for a certificate of birth abroad?
After I thought we were going to lose it.
That one.
That first one was like, what?
Yes.
I was like, say what? But we did it, though.
All right, we did it.
Yes, we sped up.
We did.
I looked after the first question, Jonathan. We were like 38 seconds. The first question was like 10 or 12 seconds.
Oh my gosh.
I think, right? We were under 40 seconds after I answered. And I'm like, we're blowing up.
Yeah, after that first one, I was like, oh snap. But then you just kept on going.
Yeah,
we were going.
You kept going. You
we
kept
got
going.
it.
We got it. We made a huge comeback.
I like that.
Huge
we like
comeback.
That.
All right, good job. All right, comments of the day.
All right. All right, our first comment of the day comes from Rihanna. Okay, she says, I believe ETs are real, but I take anything the Pentagon has made public with a grain of salt.
Yeah, I would say ETs are real, but whether there's baby ETs running, 5 people got pregnant from ETs. I don't know about that one.
Yeah.
ET human relations.
Yeah. Oh no.
I don't know about that.
Mm-mm. All right. Second comment of the day.
But by the way, the ETs are supposedly very good in bed. They're always like, you know, when you ever hear somebody say they had it was the best sex they ever had.
And that and spirits.
Yes.
Remember the lady who was having sex with Michael Jackson?
Spirits. She said it was the best sex she ever. It's always something, quote, out of this world. All right, continue. All right.
Jamie Barra saying, Brad, I'm so happy that me and my 5 siblings are now all U.S. citizens. As of Monday, my dad got murdered while in the process in 1998, and my mom continued to work hard by herself, raising 6 kids, and did it Wow.
Congratulations. I'm sorry about your dad.
I know.
Congratulations.
Wow.
Very happy to hear all of that. It's a nice, warm story at the end.
Yes,
obviously,
yes,
it's
yes.
sad that you lost your dad, though.
Yeah. All right. And our next comment of the day. John Gray saying, "Hey, Uncle Brad, you're so cool. Thanks for all the help and advice all the way here from the Philippines."
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Hey, I got one guy who thinks I'm cool, finally.
I think you have a couple more.
All right.
All right. Rock J. Roberts probably does too.
Nah, he's negative. He's very negative. He would never say, he would never admit it. He would never admit it.
All right, our next comment of the day. It's Apple Pie saying less waiting and processing times for all cases. That was one of the changes that she would like to see.
Yeah.
Yes. And our last comment of the day. I think Elizabeth Francis agrees with me. This is off of what we had just shown. Wow, very, very interested. Wish they would teach some of these historical stories in school and educate children about history of Black people. I agree.
I agree too.
Yes.
I was, during my whole interview with Tara, even the stuff that got cut, I was always saying to her, they don't teach this at school. They don't teach. I'm like, I'm learning from her.
That's crazy.
And by the way, I have one more comment of the day from Rihanna. Brad, chill. All right, well, we'll see you tomorrow for Spanning the World for Wacky News. Have a good night, everybody. So, Sam, as part of the production, we have to say this disclaimer at the end of the show. Do you mind reading it for me?
Okay, but you know, Brad, I have to do everything around here.
Forget it. I'll do it. The proceeding was information only and not specific legal advice. Consult an attorney about your individual situation. Prior successful results do not guarantee a similar outcome in the future. To make an appointment with the Spar and Bernstein Law Firm, located at 225 Broadway in New York City, call 1-800-529-5465. That's 1-800-529-5465. Easy to remember, 1-800-LAWLINK. That's 1-800-LAWLINK. Once again, make a call to 1-800-529-5465. And of course, link up with the law offices of Spar and Bernstein, located at 225 Broadway on the 5th floor. If I were you out there, make the call, make the link, make the connection, make it Spar and Bernstein. 1-800-LAWLINK. That's 1-800-529-5465. And visit us now at our Connecticut office, 221 Main Street, Suite 501, Hartford, Connecticut. Visit us in Connecticut or in New York at 225 Broadway. That's 1-800-529-5465. 1-800-LAWLINK, 1-800-529-5465.